Welcome to another episode of Band Director Boot Camp, the podcast with productivity and wellness tips for busy band directors. I'm your host, Lesley Moffat, and I'm really grateful to be sharing this platform with you. As busy band directors, we know you don't have a lot of time to watch lengthy professional development webinars, so we share 20-minute tidbits with takeaways you can use to support you in this awesome profession in a healthier way. And today I'm super excited to bring fellow Indiana University graduate Patrick Holen on board today. He lives here in the Pacific Northwest, just like me. He's the 9th through 12th grade band director at Issaquah High School. He's been there for a couple of decades. Just giving away your age here, Patrick. And he's going to talk about a lot of things today. And one of his specialties has been the social and emotional work he's done with his students. And he just had his concert last week, and I've been stalking him on Facebook. He had 41 seniors, kids that stayed with him through the pandemic to make music, but to more importantly, be part of this community he's created. So Patrick brings a whole lot of cool stuff with us. I know you're going to want to stay put. Patrick, welcome aboard. I would love to have you tell the audience a little bit more about yourself.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm really honored to be invited in this series. I graduated in Indiana University in 1999 and got hired in a small district, not even district, a corporation, as they call it back in the Midwest, the Milan School District, Milan School Corporation. If you've seen the movie Hoosiers, that's what that movie is based on, that school. But I was a 5 through 12 program. I was the Mr. Music Man. I was the band director. And then I taught with a choir teacher, and I was there for 2 years, and I got swept up with my wife. We got married 2 years after I started teaching, and then we moved out to Seattle so she could pursue her residency program for becoming a psychiatrist. And I moved out with only 3 paychecks to my name and no job lined up in the Seattle area. And I was lucky enough to find one job, my only interview, and that was Issaquah High School. And I've been there ever since 2001 is when we moved out. So, so I've been, since I've been at Issaquah, I taught middle school, Issaquah Middle School for 9 years, as well as the high school at the same time. So I was teaching at 1.2 FTE.
Oh my gosh.
And then my son was born in 2009, and that was a wake-up call for me. So I very sadly and also happily resigned from Issaquah Middle School. So I knew it was the time for me to step back a little bit. So I took 2 years of leave for his first 2 years of life, and I taught just high school, this is the 0.6. And then my daughter was born, and then I extended that leave for 2 more years, and I was a 0.6 again at Issaquah High, and that was a good move. And that kind of recentered me, because doing the 1.2, as you probably can guess,
my God, no.
Doing 2 sets of programs, 2 sets of concerts, 2 sets of everything, was a little bit of it took a little bit out of me, but it was
a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, football games, basketball games, plus all the middle school stuff. It was a little much. But then I've been here since, and even when I came back into it, they had to find a place for me to fill out my full-time contract. And I taught one very awkward year teaching 2.2 kindergarten music up at Sunny Hills Elementary. And that was an education itself. I have a new respect for all general music teachers, elementary teachers in general. So you are all doing amazing things in those buildings. So I appreciate that.
That's where the magic starts.
Yes, absolutely. So that's my tale. I've been lucky enough to be teaching full-time band for a while now. But I had taught some guitar. I've taught some, I created a course. Well, I actually followed a course that's in the district, movies and music, a general music appreciation class. I taught a little bit here at Issaquah High, but now I'm teaching everything. We started a percussion program about 8 years ago. So we've had a percussion class, and then all 3 concert bands, and then also a jazz band in the morning. So that's where we are.
That's a lot. I remember doing the jazz bands, 4 concert bands, and percussion ensembles. So all the different performing things that go with that. So you had children and took some time to step back from all of the work and doing some of, or a lot, 0.6 is still a lot in the high school, but taking that time with your children and doing all that. And I think that has got to be amazing to have those memories of when they were younger. And then you came back to school and you wanted to obviously still nurture those relationships with your kids, still have time for family and all of that. And something you've done that's been really successful, obviously, if you've got 41 seniors this year, you've done something with that student leadership and the way you build community. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about how you do that.
Well, first of all, I made sure that I've had many different ways that I've done the student leadership piece, and I think a lot of people might agree with me is that having good student leadership follows the Danielson rubric, if you know that at all, that making the illusion that the kids are in charge. I mean, that's a little bit of a not really.
No, you just summed it all up. No, we all know what you're talking about.
Yes,
the hell they are, but we're going to make them. They think they have choices, but
they think they have choices. But no, the thing is when and it makes this kind of change over the years because the band. Because this is going to be kind of a controversial statement, but the word bandmaster, that concept I think has gone away with the 20th century, and I don't think that's something that we can attain anymore. We really need to be focusing on what the individual student, and it changes in college, of course, but in the high school realm, all the high school kids really feel like they need to have structure. They won't admit it, but they really crave that. They crave routine. And one way to keep that routine going is to implement it in the student leadership. And if every ensemble has a person that represents them, their instrument or the band or the ensemble itself, and then brings it to the executive, that would be me, I guess. That means a lot to the kids that the students actually have a voice. Now, it would be awful of me not to mention the wonderful Jay Gephardt at Purdue University. He did I can't remember if it was at the Western National Band Clinic or it was at WMEA, but it was at a conference, and he presented that as an option to have representation throughout the entire program. And at Purdue, I think Jay will probably have better evidence of this, but I think it was roughly 97% retention in the program at Purdue University. Now, Purdue doesn't have a school of music, but they have a very, very strong band and orchestra music program in general. That's kind of a high school program on steroids. But that really has kept the numbers up at Purdue. So I took that and I implemented that not too long ago, and it's really shown a good retention. Obviously, you mentioned the 41 seniors. That means a lot to students. Yeah.
Well, as an Indiana grad, I hate to admit this on public, but I'm married to a Purdue grad who's a trumpet player, right?
Well,
so, but I was at IU and I was a little hoity-toity. I'm like, oh, you don't have a music school; it can't be that good. And I remember going to a Purdue their holiday Christmas thing, and I'm like, but they're not music majors, right?
No,
they had so much fun.
Oh yeah,
they had more fun than we were having.
Yeah.
Because we were so damn serious. We lost the love of music, and it lit me up to watch that. And I could see what you're talking about with Jay, and even before his time, maybe, but that ownership of these people who just are doing it because they love it, not because it's a requirement to get the degree.
And that's the future. And that's the future of supporting live music, right? Yeah. I mean, all the students that really grasp that, they'll bring that love to their communities as they go out to any community bands I'll play in. That's been another one of my focus is like, I talk to the students, especially seniors. I say, when you go off to universities, my goal for you, one thing that would make me totally happy is that if you continued playing your instrument. And they say, well, I'm not going to do a marching band. I said, I don't necessarily care what you choose. It could be a funk band. It could be a brass band. It could be a whatever. As long as you continue to play your instrument that you've loved so much. And also community. I mean, once you go into a university you've never seen before, why not continue that community? You're going to find a new one. Mm-hmm. And if you do the marching band piece, you're on campus before everyone else. Mm-hmm. So you get to meet this. You have this instant family when you go into a new campus. So that's what I push when I go up to visit the middle schools here. Is I have 3 middle schools that feed into our program, and I go to every single one of them and I say the same thing. you will have an instant family when you come here, and they will care about you, and they will make your experience that much better.
Welcome, Band Director Bootcamp listeners. If you're feeling a bit burnt out and are ready for support and accountability partners in your wellness and productivity, we have an amazing opportunity for you. Join our 90-day virtual boot camp, a community initiative designed for busy band directors like you who love their job but seek a more sustainable approach. We'll meet weekly, discuss your wellness goals, and develop strategies to help you achieve them. We'll tackle productivity hacks and fine-tune systems for the upcoming school year. With 35 years of experience, I've got some tricks and tips up my sleeve that I can't wait to share. So, as we move into a new season of our lives, if you want to feel empowered and supported by like-minded individuals, this is your chance. Reach out to me at banddirectorbootcamp.com or click on the link in our show notes to schedule a 15-minute call. Let's ensure this is the right fit for you, get you signed up, and embark on this wellness journey together. Because together, we rise. Kind of changing gears a little bit, but because I want to talk about a couple things you said before we started recording. I think people need to hear this, and hearing it from you who's done this job for a long time and has a very successful program. You made a phrase or said a phrase a little bit ago. You said, when I said, how are you going to help our listeners today? And you said, I want them to know it's silly to be, and it's ridiculous to focus just on ratings. Can you expand on that so that they could hear this message?
Yeah. I mean,
it's not the measure of how we are.
Well, I think, and especially I'm 47, so you think about how, and I came from a competitive band program. Mm-hmm. So I went to high school in Indiana, and it was all about the getting first place and getting the trophy. Let's bring back some hardware, la 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 la. Mm-hmm. But then I saw what it does to people if they get too far into it. The competitive nature, I can't handle the competitive nature. It's just not part of me. I when I got here to Issaquah and find out there was not a competitive marching band, I was ready to sign the contract even before I was even offered the job. And because I think it's just too much pressure on the students. And I know some students really, really, really like that, but it's not for all students. And I want to be a representative for all. So the first, I want to say 5 years when I was teaching Issaquah, I was really down on like, oh my gosh, we have to get good ratings. I have to. And then I realized I was losing sleep over it. I was like trying to figure out how to do that. And do I pick the right literature for that? And, and I just couldn't, it was causing too much, anxiety and stress for me. So I switched gears. I said, okay, well, let's do something. Let's do this approach. I'm going to pick literature, and I'm also going to ask students to give me some stuff, let them give them a voice too. What do you think we can do to make ourselves sound better? And the moment that happened, and the moment I realized I really should be focusing on what the new class of students that come in, this concert band this year, this 9th grade group sounds like XYZ. Okay. I know that I'm going to have to pick these pieces to make them sound better. And they're going to when they sound confident and they feel confident about it, then I've done my job as far as making them feel better about themselves and making them go forward. It's not about the hardware. It's about how the students feel about it and how they're going to be successful. Do they sound really good?
And when you stopped doing competitive stuff, did your bands just start sucking, or like you just said here, they got motivated differently?
And they just got motivated differently. They want to sound good because the thing, I think the shift, Lesley, is that when I say the words, this will probably be put on YouTube.
Yeah, that matters a lot more, doesn't it?
When you say this is probably going to be recorded by your parent and put on YouTube and be there forever, how do you want to sound?
Yeah, that's great.
and then they said, okay, I got you. So then they motivate and they kind of change their thing. And yes, the ratings end up being good. I mean, every year is different, and every judge. I mean, we can get a whole different podcast about how judging happens. I mean, good gravy. Just because, well, your second trumpet sounded a little flat and measured 30 minutes. Like that's a whole different subject.
Yeah, right.
But the fact that I changed that, like if I did that, if I kept on worrying about the actual ratings, I would have been one of Dr. Tim's. When Dr. Tim talks about the average life career of a music director is 3.5 years.
Yeah,
I would have been done at 2.
Wow. Yep.
You know, I just, so I had to do something. And that was one thing, was like, don't focus on the ratings, focus on picking the literature that fits your group. And if it's a grade 2 and they sound fabulous, great. It doesn't have to be the Indiana University Wind Ensemble literature for you to take the festival. Those, we shouldn't be doing Lincolnshire Posey every year at festival.
Didn't we all do that when we started teaching? We didn't have the chops to be the teacher. We could play the tune, so we might as well. Yeah, I know.
We had no business doing that at all.
We were young and stupid. And
yes.
So here's what I'm going to ask you as our final question here. What advice can you give to our, you and I are mid to late career time here. And so what about our beginning teachers who've either taught just a little while or just getting their feet wet? What's your longevity trick or longevity idea or thought you want to?
Well, there's several, but I know it's a short time, but I think definitely one, you want to make sure you have the right team around you, and you got to create a team, and it might take a while. Like if you're like me in my first year teaching, and I was along with the choir teacher, you got to lean on the choir teacher and ask for help. And you have to ask for help. Yeah. You can't do it by yourself. Other pieces that you really need to make sure that you have a great relationship with the main office, the people that make your life easier, bookkeeper, principal secretary, assistant principal secretary, whoever is down in the office that takes care of field trips, that takes care of attendance. All those people make your world much better, and you may not realize it your first year teaching. And I guess the third thing, am I on third thing? I'll just say it anyway. Yes. You don't have to do everything. Just because someone said, especially if you're a new teacher, and just because someone said, well, so-and-so did it last year, that doesn't mean it's a thing that should be for you. Now, we all know you have to balance that. Like, okay, well, what's tradition and what's, you got to be careful not making too many changes too quickly, but don't get to the point where you're doing events every week. Like,
that's not healthy for the directors or kids, is it?
No. Can the band play at the Krispy Kreme opening thing? Or can this and that? Or, like, yes, there are traditional things like a community parade, but you don't have to play a grand opening at every place that you know.
And that discernment's hard to figure out at first.
Yeah,
so
it is hard. It is hard, but lean on the experienced people. Lean on the experienced
before I respond to requests. Think about it.
Right. And also
we say this for a reason, don't we?
Right. And then talking to the person that has been around the school for a while, you can find that person out, and especially if it's a secretary that's been there for 25 years, they're going to know traditions more than the 11th grade know-it-all in your
You're kidding.
Your clarinet section or whatever,
Yes. Well, you hit on a lot of good things, talking about the social emotional things and the needs of the kids. And when we get that piece in place, it helps us as directors, it helps them as students, and it really creates a pretty healthy community. So thank you to Patrick Holen for joining us on this edition of Band Director Bootcamp. And thank you to all of you listeners who are making a difference in kids' lives through the magic of music education. The work you do matters, and so do you. Join us next time on Band Director Bootcamp for another episode of productivity and wellness tips to make your life a little easier.